Part 2. My in-laws demanded I hand over my newborn baby to their daughter because she couldn't have kids and my husband agreed. Now my parents have shown up with legal papers and my mother-in-law is having a meltdown. He had no idea about their crazy plan and was disgusted when he found out. Apparently, Sarah has become obsessed with having a baby and refused to consider adoption or fostering. Her parents have been enabling this behavior for years, and Jake has always gone along with whatever his sister wanted. John told me Sarah has been buying baby clothes and supplies for months, spending thousands of dollars on high-end baby items. He showed me credit card statements where she'd maxed out their cards buying designer baby clothes, a custom crib, and even a $5,000 stroller. When he confronted her about the expenses, she'd say they needed to be ready for when the baby comes home. He thought she was talking about adoption or surrogacy. He had no idea she was planning to take my baby. The most disturbing part was finding a diary where she'd written detailed plans about how she would bond with her baby, including a schedule for introducing Emma to extended family as her own child. She even had a list of responses prepared for when people commented on how the baby didn't look like her, telling people she was expecting. She even had a nursery set up in their house. He's horrified by her behavior and is planning to file for divorce. He warned me that Sarah has been talking about just taking Emma when I'm not looking, and my in-laws have been encouraging this delusion. I immediately called my lawyer who helped me file for an emergency protection order. The judge granted it after seeing the evidence and hearing about Sarah's concerning behavior. Jake completely lost it when he was served with the papers. He showed up at the house drunk, screaming about how I was destroying his family. I had to call the police to remove him. My parents have moved in temporarily to help protect me and Emma. We've installed security cameras and changed all the locks. I'm heartbroken that it's come to this, but my daughter's safety has to come first. Update 2. Things have escalated dramatically in ways I never could have imagined. Every day brings new revelations that make me question everything I thought I knew about my husband's family. The more we uncover, the more I realize how deep this dysfunction goes. My in-laws tried to file for grandparents' rights, but their case was thrown out since they have no established relationship with Emma. Their lawyer apparently told them they had no grounds, but they're refusing to accept it. The real bombshell came when my parents' private investigator uncovered something disturbing. Sarah had been telling people at her church that I was just a surrogate carrying her baby. She had created an elaborate story about how I was a family friend who volunteered to be her surrogate after learning about her struggles. She'd even started a mommy blog documenting her surrogacy journey with stolen photos from my private social media. The level of planning and deception was terrifying. She had hundreds of followers congratulating her and sending gifts, all based on this horrible lie. What made it worse was finding out that my mill had been actively participating in this charade, commenting on the blog and sharing Sarah's posts in church groups. They had been planning this for months, waiting until I was vulnerable after giving birth to make their move. She even forged documents to prove it. When confronted by her husband, she had a complete breakdown and had to be hospitalized for psychiatric evaluation. When confronted with the forged documents, Jake's reaction was something I'll never forget. He turned ghostly pale and started hyperventilating. He kept muttering, "What have I done?" over and over. For the first time, he saw his sister not as the perfect golden child, but as someone who needed serious help. It was like watching 30 years of manipulation and family dysfunction suddenly become clear to him. He broke down completely in my lawyer's office, sobbing as he read through the blog posts and saw the nursery photos. The final straw was finding a post where Sarah had written about how she and Jake had always planned for her to raise his firstborn, claiming it was a pact they made as children. He swears he never made any such promise, and seeing how his sister had twisted their childhood relationship made him physically ill. He had to excuse himself to throw up in the bathroom. When he came back, he looked like he'd aged 10 years. He started telling us about all the times Sarah had manipulated him growing up, how she'd convince him to take blame for things she did, how she'd guilt him into giving her his birthday presents, how their parents always took her side. He said he'd normalized it all because that's just how their family worked. Now he was seeing it through new eyes, and he was horrified at how he'd let that same toxic dynamic threaten his own daughter. He broke down crying and admitted he'd been manipulated by his family his whole life. He started therapy and begged for another chance, but I don't think I can ever trust him again. How could he even consider giving away our child? I filed for divorce and full custody. Jake isn't contesting it. I think seeing his sister's mental breakdown was a wake-up call. He's agreed to supervised visitation only and is getting counseling. His parents are still in denial, insisting that giving Emma to Sarah would fix everything. John has been incredibly supportive and is helping us build our case. He's provided evidence of Sarah's declining mental state and his in-laws' enabling behavior. He feels guilty for not seeing the signs sooner. Update 3. It's been 3 months since my last update, and sometimes it feels like I'm living in an alternate reality. The life I had planned with Jake seems like a distant dream now. Emma is growing so fast, she started babbling and trying to roll over, and while it was one of the happiest moments of my life, it was also bittersweet. I couldn't help but think about how different things should have been, how her father should have been there to see it. The divorce is finalized, and I have full custody of Emma with Jake having supervised visitation. He's still in therapy and has finally started setting boundaries with his family. He's admitted that he failed as a husband and father, and while I appreciate his growth, some things can't be undone. Sarah is still in treatment. Her doctors diagnosed her with severe depression and delusional disorder. She's responding well to medication and therapy, but it's a long road ahead.